Freud was the founding father of psychoanalysis, a method for treating mental illness and also a theory which explained human behavior.
An analysis of a case of hysteria is a case study that Freud writes about an 18-year-old girl. Dora, whose actual name Freud keeps secret, suffers from a variety of hysterical symptoms, including dyspnea, difficulty of breathing, aphonia, loss of voice, nervous coughing, and migraine headaches. Her father brings her to receive Freud's psychotherapeutic treatment. 4 years after going to Freud himself, a paralytic attack. Freud believes that Dora's case is rather ordinary as far as cases of hysteria are concerned. Dora suffers from the most common physical symptoms: difficulty of breathing, nervous coughing, loss of voice, and migraines, and along with the most mental symptoms like depression and antisocial behavior. Although Freud considered the case to be exciting, he asserts that analysis of an ordinary case of hysteria will be most useful to furthering knowledge to the disorder.
What is Dora all about in Sigmund Freud, a case of hysteria? Analysis of case of hysteria. So in case you might not know what is hysteria means, hysteria is a psychological disorder whose symptoms include conversion of psychological stress into physical symptoms, selective amnesia, shallow volatile emotions, and overdramatic or attention-seeking behavior. So there is a female hysteria, a common medical diagnosis, obviously for women, which was described as exhibiting a wide array of symptoms, including anxiety, shortness of breath, fainting, nervousness, sexual desire, also lack of excitement of sex, and insomnia, lack of appetite, and many more. So, Freud writes about an 18-year-old girl named Dora, whose an actual name Freud keeps secret in order to respect Dora's real identity. So Dora suffers from variety of hysterical symptoms, including dysphonia or difficulty breathing, and aphonia, loss of voice, and nervous coughing, and migraine headaches. So Dora's father brought her to Freud in order to receive Freud's psychotherapeutic treatment. And after a session with Dora, after listening to Dora, Freud theorizes that her hysterical symptoms might be from her psychological trauma or sexual or patient sexual life, because in history uterus means, in the Greek word uterus means hysteria, so it has a connection to women. So they said that hysteria, in history, uterus means, in the Greek word uterus means hysteria, so it has a connection to women. So they said that hysteria, the cause of hysteria might be women's lack of sex, or didn't have a good sex, or did not have enough sex. So after listening to Dora's past and her family situation to get the cause of her hysterical symptoms, Freud believes that this experience was sufficiently traumatic to have influenced Dora's hysteria, but not to explain conflict.
Freud theorized that hysterical symptoms stem from either psychological trauma or problems in the patient's sexual life. During psychotherapy, Freud listened to stories about Dora's past and her family situation to get the cause of her hysterical symptoms. Dora's immediate family consists of her two parents and older brother. Her father brings her to receive Freud's psychotherapeutic treatment. For 4 years after going Freud himself for a paralytic attack, Freud believes that Dora's case is rather ordinary as far as causes of hysteria are concerned. Dora suffered from the most common physical symptoms like difficulty in breathing, nervous coughing, loss of voice, and migraines, along with the most common mental symptoms like depression and antisocial behavior. Although Freud considers that the case to be unexciting, he asserts that the analysis of an ordinary case hysteria will be the most useful that Freud used to furthering knowledge of the disorder. Whilst Philip Bauer's wife had become distant, Frauke had been keen to care for him during his illness, and although Dora had enjoyed an amicable relationship with her, she became convinced that she was having an affair with her father. Throughout her childhood, Frauke had also shown affection towards Dora, who accused him of making advances towards her, an accusation which confronted by her father. Frauke denied, blaming the books that she had been reading such as Paulo Mantegazza's Physiology of Love by influencing her.
Freud described herself as a conscientious archaeologist, uncovering past events in Dora's life and investigating her familial relationships or investigating her family members. He reported that Dora admired her brother and father, with a letter containing a close relationship with Dora. Freud thinks that this experience was sufficiently traumatic to have influenced Dora's hysteria. Hysteria is an excessive behavior or uncontrollable emotion such as fear or panic. That was Dora's experience. Dora tells Freud of an earlier incident with Herky. Once Herky arranged for Dora to meet him alone in his office and then kiss her by surprise. Kiss Dora by surprise. Dora felt disgusted by what Herky had done, and Freud find it odd that Dora was repulsed by experience that, in his opinion, should have elicited sexual excitement. However, in this study, Dora's father felt particularly indebted or owing a gratitude to Frauke, who helped to take care of him during his sufferings. Dora became embittered by her father's relationship with Frauke, which she suspected of being a love affair.
Freud conclusion of the said study about Dora. A visual interpretations of Freud's study on Dora, a woman suffering from hysteria and nightmares caused by traumatizing events in her past. Freud theorized that hysterical symptoms stem from either psychological trauma or problems in the patient's sexual life. During psychotherapy, Freud listens to stories about Dora's past situation to get to the cause of her hysterical symptoms. Freud met with Ida for sessions of psychoanalysis. He thought he had a typical case of hysteria he could solve, but he didn't know was that he had to solve himself.
Case studies are very helpful and useful in terms of generating new ideas that might be tested by others' method. So, this Dora case study by Sigmund Freud, how is this study helpful is that by conducted detailed investigation which can give awareness to people, especially to women, to understand and help them overcome this illness.